Hello, this is Gio, and this is the Stern Flight 2000. This is my brand new pinball, which I just got off of Craigslist, and boy did I get a deal on it. The guy was originally listing it for 400 bucks, which where I live, and pinball is very popular around where I live, that is cheap. But I did actually talk him down to 350. And I'll kind of explain to you the condition of this thing. Initially I thought it was in worse shape than it actually is. The guy thought it was in pretty bad shape as well, and I'll kind of explain that. But the beauty of this is the electronics pretty much fully works. This is a fully functioning machine. There's a couple of issues with it, some lights and some drop targets, etc. But essentially all the drop targets do work. But you can see some of the grazing, some of the cracking of the back glass here. And all this, although this does look like part of the original artwork, it actually isn't. All this little cracking here is bubbling up, and the paint on the back of the glass flaking off. And you could see kind of the damage here. This is very common in old pinball machines. They didn't make these things to last, and they didn't really do apply good paint to it, and during time the back glass gets heated up and dried out, and very commonly, especially in different climates where you get a variety of temperatures or humidity. So this is one of the reasons it was cheaper. It had bad back glass, but it actually does kind of blend in if you actually look at it. You can see some of the lights shining through, which is kind of annoying, but it actually does look like it blends in. Well, okay, let's just back up. This is the Stern Flight 2000 pinball, made in 1980, and it's one of the more popular machines. It actually was quite popular. I forgot how many were made, but let's just look through this thing. So so there was a couple of things that were wrong with it originally, and I bought this thing thinking I'll just kind of rehab it. I just do a restoration of the whole thing. It was only after I got it home that I realized, well, it's actually in better shape than I thought. Okay, so first of all, we noticed the glazing cracking of the back glass. Now, this is the head, this is the main body, Playfield. The head is not actually attached to anything right now. It's actually just freestanding there. I have to be a little careful because the head support was broken. And in fact, it's actually more stable now than it was before because I actually tore out the head support, and I'll tell that story in a little bit. But this head was actually supported by ropes, etc., and some books were propped there, and it was really loose, and the guy thought it was a piece of junk. Everybody who looked at it seemed to think it was a piece of junk. But I knew that was just word work. That wasn't any electronics or redoing the playfield. That was just doing some woodwork, and I could do that pretty easily, so that I didn't sweat that. One of the things I was concerned with was the playfield, which is here. Again, I looked at everything. Everything seemed to work well. This is the plastics, the plastic arts, and there is some broken pieces. There's that one. There's this one, which these are pretty big pieces. They're going to be kind of expensive to replace if I can find replacements for them. And there's this one right here, which is cracked in two. And every other one looks pretty good. They do warp a little bit, but you can work on that, and I'll do a video how to de-warp some of these things. But the main thing that I was worried about was the condition of the playfield surface itself. One big thing was this spot right here. Okay, so zooming in on this spot, you can see it's a pretty big gash. Essentially, it's a tear in the playfield art itself. It's not just a wear spot where the ball kind of goes over it and wears over time. This looks like it actually something kind of ripped the top surface of the paint off, and so this will have to be repaired as best I can with my rudimentary art skills. But you can kind of see how the art kind of comes down here. At least it's not any lettering. There's not a moon that I have to paint. It's just these kind of black and bluish areas, maybe a little red there as well. But the biggest thing I was concerned about when I initially looked at this was there's some spots. Well, first of all, I discovered the whole thing was Mylar at one time. Now, Mylar is a plastic sheeting that commonly operators would put on their games to protect the artwork, since a lot of times in arcades they get really worn down. And it's basically a sticky sheet they apply, but it could also slow balls down, it could collect dirt, and it could actually cause damage. And I'll show you kind of at the edges of this Mylar what can happen. And so here's two pieces of Mylar, which it's not really a great seam. There's a piece of Mylar here, and this is a little joint of Mylar right here, and you could see right here that there's a wear spot. So balls kind of tend to come over the Mylar seam. It's thin, but there is a little bit of a bump there, and it kind of wears things down right at that spot. If we come over here, you could see again right here. Here's, I think there's two pieces of Mylar here. Yeah, there's two pieces of Mylar, or maybe not. Maybe there's just one piece of Mylar here. But you could see right where the ball jumps down or jumps up, this is a loss of art. And over time, this can get bigger and bigger. Now, underneath here, it may be nice and safe. Over here, there could be damage. I also noticed a couple of these inserts are a little kind of springy, loose. This is probably one of the worst spots right here where two pieces of Mylar came together, and it's actually really weak spot. Balls will come here, start damaging this entire section. So this needs to be worked on. Let's move up here, and it's just some of this Mylar is bubbling up. You could even see it bubble up on some of these inserts here. You can kind of see it peeling off. And this is one of the videos I'm going to be doing, and I've never done this before, is removal of this Mylar. And there's a couple of techniques. There's a freezing technique where you kind of use an upside down can of air spray, office air spray, dust spray. There's also a heat gun technique, either using a hair dryer or a heat gun. I hear bad things about that one, but you could do either one, but I haven't decided which one. Probably I'll use the freeze sprays, but we'll see. But just going through here, let's just grab a light so everybody could see this Playfield who's interested. And you can kind of see, in all, the Playfield's in pretty good shape. There's a little bit of, primarily the biggest issues where the Mylar intersects. And so initially when I was looking at this in the guy's garage, I was really concerned because some of these areas really looked pretty bad. But when I look at it closer, it's just because of the Mylar seams. And here's not, this seam is not too bad. There's a piece of Mylar on it, but there's not too much damage at the seam. And so continuing to look at this, you can see in all, it's not in bad shape. There's some damaged spots here that I'd have to touch up. I'll do another video how I'm going to do that. Now, I've never even touched up Playfield, so we're going to be learning this. You're going to be learning this with me as we go. And any mistakes that I make, you will see my mistakes and hopefully will not repeat them. Now, there is missing paint here in the ball lane. That's very common. I mean, it's almost unavoidable unless there's a piece of Mylar there, or if it's a nice clear coat. And I'm thinking I'm going to clear coat the finish after I get the Mylar off. So, so you could see the condition. It's not in bad condition. Once the Mylar is off, this is going to be... It's actually... I'm just shocked at how cheap I got this game for. I think we both had an impression that it was in bad shape, and it really isn't. So I'll give you a bit of a tour on the front here. There's a little bit of damage at this little coin insert there. That could be repaired, but the door's in pretty good shape. Of course, the body, there's always some scratches and nicks in the body. But all in all, it's in pretty good shape. I could touch a lot of that up, but the body of these always sort of gets scraped up, and it's hard to get one that's in perfect shape. You can resand these things down, and you can sand these things down and actually get stencils for the side art and spray, in this case, the black, yellow, and blue, and reduplicate this artwork. I think the stencils are around $100 if you can find them for your particular game. But I don't think I'll do that here. I think I'll just touch up some of the artwork and call it good from there. Okay, and here's the inside of the body. We're underneath the playfield right now. The lid just kind of pops off there. And you can see it's pretty dirty. I'm going to have to clean things up. There's the tilt, all electronics. I'm not sure how many of you have seen the inside of a pinball game. Lots of wires, lots of coils, etc. But all of this is in pretty good shape. There's some solder jobs like that I probably want to redo. A couple of lights are out. A couple of lights are stuck on, which are probably a light board issue. But all in all, this is in pretty good shape too. It doesn't look like it's been tampered with too much. And here's the back of the back glass. It looks a lot worse from back here, especially with that. You can see how the damage happens. Let's see. So here's an example. You can see this part is bubbling up, and eventually it just kind of flakes off where it bubbles up. So it's not really like cracking. It's more like these linear bubbles, and they just sort of pop themselves off. I can't quite tell. It looks like there's been some touch-up. I'm not sure. I don't think there's been touch-up paint. But the good thing about it is, looking at the front side, it kind of looks like it matches with the game. So sometimes the cracking looks really terrible. This cracking actually kind of blends in with the artwork, which is kind of good. Actually, let me flip this around and we'll look at the artwork a little closer. So again, here's the artwork. It's a space theme. Flight 2000, it was done in 1980. I assume this means 2000, as in the year 2000, and we're 2016 now. I don't recall seeing any ships like this recently, but you know, it could happen. And the biggest thing, it kind of blends in and you don't notice what's going on initially, but then you see this girl. And so she's in some kind of suspended animation, rocking off some kind of world. Maybe her world is being destroyed, and they're trying to save their civilization. Here there's a guy there and another rocket, a guy, so I guess 3 guys to 1 girl. Maybe that's a good ratio. I think you'd want more women than men, but you know, all's in the future. But and then on the playfield itself, I might need to grab my light real quick. You can see again the destruction of whatever world there was. There's some planets there. Again, there's another copy of the girl. And then just the artwork's just wonderful. Just maybe some asteroid comets there. Another rocket ship there, another rocket ship there. That art looks identical to that art, so it looks like they're kind of duplicating a little bit. But you can see the wonderful art, and that's one of the things that attracted me to this game. Okay, so the back glass is off right now. You could see there are actually LEDs here. I don't think they originally came with the Flight 2000. It's a 1980 machine. There is one broken. All of the other ones do work. I will have to remove that, but I'll go ahead and get you into the back here. And you can see what it looks like. Let's see if I can get a light in here. A little better. And you can see the motherboard's there. Power supply board, that's the light board. I think that lower one's a sound board, or the speech board, and I think those are both. I'm not exactly sure which boards are which here, but you can see it's all pretty much in good shape. Now I did one of the things that I had to this plug right here, if I could point to it here, put down the light. This plug right here is a little loose, and I keep on having to put it back in. And that kind of prevented me from doing a test diagnostic originally, and also actually just turning it on to play a game. The start game button wasn't working. But you can see it has the original cards here. It's all in pretty good shape, and I was so lucky. This thing virtually entirely works. There's a couple of quirks, there's a couple of, again, you know, so some of the items don't work, but we'll get that all fixed. Okay, so I set down the head and I'll show you what's going on in back here. You could see that the base support is gone. It's actually up here, and basically I had to tear this thing apart. It was already damaged, so like I said, when I was buying this thing, it was already, the head was already kind of really loose. He had it kind of tied down, some books on either end to support it. Essentially the head was not supporting itself, so I knew that the base support was broken. And so this is my funny story. So I was purchasing this from the guy, and it was in the garage, and so I came to pick it up. I had a few crescent wrenches, but we started taking it apart, and the bolts holding the head down, they all came out except for one, this one, and essentially it was stripped, the bolt was stripped, possibly rusted shut, and I couldn't get the thing off. And I tried. Well, the guy, I only had a couple of crescent wrenches and those weren't working. The guy had no tools at all. Apparently he doesn't even work on pinballs, and he had a screwdriver and a little tiny nail remover, kind of like a crowbar, but a little tiny thing. And so I kind of made the call. It was a little out of my way. It was maybe an hour and a half round trip, and I'd already gone there twice, and I wasn't about to go back home and grab my tools so I can get this bolt cut off. So instead, I knew that this base was broken already, and so I used a screwdriver and the little ply bar to break this whole thing apart. In hindsight, here I'll show you. Well, it is in pieces, and it should be pretty easily put back together again. I didn't really do much damage, and I'll do a video showing you how I did that. But in hindsight, it would probably have been a better thing if I did go home and get tools, because when I started pulling it apart, and here's the back again, I noticed that it was this board right here that was the culprit being loose, essentially, and you can see a little damage I did pulling it apart there. This board had unglued, and maybe there was some nails originally there, but it had unglued and it had fallen down, and this is what was loose in the thing. And if I wouldn't have torn the whole support out, I probably could have just added some glue and a couple of nails and it would have been fine. Well, hindsight's 20/20, and so I tore the thing apart, and I could sort of show you. Well, you see the parts. I will do a video on reconstructing this base, but I really don't think it's going to be a big issue. Some glue, some nails, etc. Maybe some touch-up paint. But this was one of the reasons I got it for so cheap. Was it had a broken base, or at least the guy thought it did. In reality, just a few nails would have done the trick. Okay, so there you have it. We're going to be, well, I'm going to be doing a series of videos showing some of the restoration work I will be doing for this, and I hope you can join me for a lot of that stuff. I hope we can learn together how to do this work. I'm going to set up the camera and kind of play this game so you can see how it plays and how it sounds. Again, there's a couple of issues, some light issues. This little bumper tends to shoot multiple times, so you might see that problem as well. But I'll go ahead and play it. Hey, by the way, I've had the back glass off, or not the back glass, but the Playfield glass off. You might have noticed that, but I'm going to keep it open. It's going to be a little noisier just because it's taken off, but you can see the gameplay a little bit better. So I hope you enjoy these upcoming videos, and I think this is going to be fun. See you next time.